So, unless you're living under a rock, the new season of Stranger Things just released their Volume 1.
What the hell just happened?
I have no idea, but I love it!
And I'm sitting here almost 10 years later, just as invested as I was in the beginning, in the characters, in the world, all this stuff. So, I'm asking myself this one question. How did Stranger Things manage to keep us emotionally hooked for almost a decade now? And the more I thought about it, I realized it's not only just the characters and the plot. Because here's the thing, how can I feel this nostalgic feeling towards Stranger Things? I wasn't even alive in the 80s. That's like a huge question I keep asking myself, because every time I watch it, every time I see something about it online, I feel this very familiar nostalgic feeling towards it. And sure, I have parents who lived in the 80s, I have watched movies from the 80s, I have listened to songs from the 80s. You know, the 80s is a very famous decade, of course. But the question I ask myself is, can you even feel nostalgic towards a time you wasn't alive? Because in the dictionary, nostalgia is described as a pleasure mixed with sadness about something from the past. And yet here I am, missing something I wasn't there to experience. And yeah, as I said, sure, my parents lived in the 80s. I've listened to the 80s music. They played a lot of 80s music while I was growing up. And yeah, that's of course a part of it. But that alone is not enough to make me this invested in a show or a world set in the 80s, if you get what I'm saying. Because what Stranger Things does is it makes you so invested, and it gives you this very familiar feeling towards the time period it's set in. And yeah, sure, it's been going on for 10 years and you've had this time to build up this, nostalgia feeling and this connection to the show. So all this talk about nostalgia and this feeling of nostalgia towards the show and the world it's set in made me think, is nostalgia just an emotion, or can it actually be engineered? And this is where the Duffers and the production design and art direction, all this stuff really nailed it. Because everything in Stranger Things is just so perfect. The music, the lighting, the costumes, the typography, almost everything in this show is so perfect. It is so easy to imagine how it was to live in the 80s when you watch Stranger Things, I feel. It doesn't feel like a throwback. It almost feels so familiar that it feels like a memory or something. The whole thing with Stranger Things is that it's not only the story that's doing a really good job, and it is, but it's also the world building that is completely crazy and so thought through and perfectly crafted to make you feel this way. So yeah, I do feel like there's some engineering going on in the background where you can almost engineer this nostalgia feeling I was talking about. And I feel like the art department and the production design and all this stuff, the costumes, the hair, everything, is so thought through that it just makes sense and you can just envision yourself living in this time period. And here's where something really clicked for me. Not as a fan, but as a creative director. We always talk so much about storytelling, but are we talking enough about world building? Why do we care more about these fictional worlds than we do most real brands? And it's when you build a world, you build something you can have emotional ownership of. And 2, you make something people feel like they can be a part of. You don't have to explain anything. People just get it when you have a world they can be a part of. And from a creative perspective, that's the dream. Because when the world is strong, everything else becomes easier. Everything from the characters, the tone, the visuals, even the marketing. So if we circle back to the question I mentioned in the beginning of the video, how did Stranger Things manage to keep us hooked for almost 10 years? By building a world so familiar and so detailed that it almost became a part of us, even though we didn't even live in it. And that's what hit me as a creative. Good creative isn't just consumed, it's lived in. That's the difference between a campaign you like and a world you want to return to. Think of some of your favorite brands. They probably have done this too, where you feel this connection to them and you're interested in what they're doing, you understand what they're saying, their tone is just perfect, and you keep coming back to this world they have built for their audience. So the next time I'm working on a project, that's what I'm gonna ask myself. Am I building something people will remember? Or am I building something people want to be a part of? Because that's what Stranger Things reminded me. Stories get attention, worlds get loyalty. So yeah, that's my little quick talk about world building and how Stranger Things reignited and reminded me of this very important part about being a creative. And especially when you're working with clients, how world building can be super important to keep in mind, and how strong of a tool it can really be if you know how to do it. It's not easy to do this stuff. That's also why I have to give so much respect and props to the Duffer Brothers, because it's insane. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching this video. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.